You open your eyes, and you see the world. Clear, detailed, stable. You trust your eyes to show you reality, the way things are. But what if they've been lying to you this entire time? Because here's the unsettling truth. Your brain doesn't just see. It interprets, and sometimes it gets it wrong, brilliantly, predictably, and consistently wrong. From optical illusions that warp space and color, to real-world misperceptions that shift how we view time, distance, and even faces, the science of visual illusions reveals something deeper than tricks of the eye. It shows us how our brain constructs reality, and how easily it can be fooled. Let's dive into why you can't always trust your eyes, and what these illusions tell us about the way your brain actually sees the world. At its core, vision isn't a camera. Your eyes don't simply record the world. Instead, they gather raw data, light, shadows, contrast, and send it to the brain. That's where the real magic happens. Because it's your brain, not your eyes, that builds the image of what you're seeing. And your brain doesn't want accuracy. It wants efficiency. So it relies on shortcuts, rules, and expectations it's learned through evolution and experience. Take the famous checker shadow illusion by Edward Adelson. Two squares, A and B, appear dramatically different in color. But they're actually the exact same shade of gray. Your brain assumes that shadows darken things, so it automatically lightens the square in shadow. It's not seeing color, it's making a guess. And that guess feels like reality. Or consider the Muller-Lyer illusion, two lines with arrowheads at the ends. One looks longer than the other. But they're the same length. Why? Because your brain uses depth cues from the 3D world to judge distance, and it applies those rules to a flat image, creating the illusion. These aren't just party tricks. They expose something profound. That perception is predictive. Your brain is constantly forecasting what it expects to see, based on patterns, context, and memory. Visual illusions reveal the cracks in that system. And here's the wild part. Even when you know it's an illusion, it still works. You can't unsee it. That's because these predictions happen in the earliest stages of visual processing, before conscious awareness even kicks in. But illusions aren't just about what we see. They also shape how we move through the world. Ever wonder why the moon looks massive on the horizon, but tiny up in the sky? That's the moon illusion. Your brain compares the moon to buildings and trees on the horizon, giving it a false sense of scale. Once it's high in the sky, those reference points disappear. Or why a spinning wheel in a movie sometimes looks like it's going backward. That's called the wagon wheel effect, a glitch in how your brain samples motion, especially under flickering light or camera frames. And then there's one of the most bizarre illusions of all, the Troxler Effect. Stare at a fixed point, and your peripheral vision begins to fade. Colors blur, shapes vanish. Your brain stops processing unchanging information. It edits out what it thinks is irrelevant, again, prioritizing efficiency over reality. We'd like to think we see the world as it is. But really, we see the world as our brain expects it to be. And that's both fascinating and a little terrifying. By the way, if you're finding this journey through the mind's eye interesting, now's a good time to like this video, subscribe for more deep dives into the mind and brain, and drop a comment telling us the illusion that blew your mind the most. Your support helps us bring you more of this eye-opening content every week. Let's take this one step deeper. Why does the brain rely so heavily on shortcuts and predictions? Because raw reality is overwhelming. The human eye takes in millions of bits of information every second. Processing all of that consciously would be impossible. So the brain filters, fills in gaps, and creates a model, a simplified, stable version of the world. This model is shaped by culture, experience, and even your mood. Studies show that if you're feeling anxious, you're more likely to perceive ambiguous images as threatening. Your internal state shapes your external perception. There's even a condition called visual agnosia, where damage to specific brain areas prevents people from recognizing objects, even though their eyes still work. It's not the eyes, it's the interpretation that fails. In this way, illusions are like stress tests for your brain's operating system. They show you where the seams are, where your perception bends, warps, or collapses altogether. But illusions aren't flaws. They're features of a system designed to make sense of a chaotic world, quickly, creatively, and with just enough detail to survive. So the next time you stare at a picture that seems to move, or watch a line that bends when it shouldn't, don't just marvel at the illusion. Marvel at your brain. Because what it's doing is nothing short of miraculous. It's not broken. It's brilliant, even if it sometimes gets things wrong. And maybe, just maybe, reality isn't as objective as we thought.